faster now that I'm older.
Exactly. Okay, here we go. We're doing the show.
All right.
Hey, 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 what's up, guys? Welcome to the Ace Michael Show. Hey, don't clap if you're driving, seriously. I just wanted to call your attention to how things have changed since we were kids. Remember when we were kids? Remember riding your bike? I know, right? I remember riding your bike everywhere. Man, as a kid, I could ride my bike for hours. I could ride my bike for 8 hours up hills and didn't affect me at all physically. I loved it. But now, I try to put my old grown ass man on a bike right now. I'm just saying. And remember, our diet was different. Like, remember when you were a kid, you could wake up in the morning, eat a bowl of cereal, literally a one bowl of cereal, and you didn't need to eat the whole rest of the day. Maybe a fruit roll up or a Snickers during the day or something like that. But really, you made it through the whole day. If you think about it, all you had to eat that morning was a breakfast bowl of cereal, and you had so much energy. You had enough energy to go through gymnasium class, ride your bike uphill all day, ride around town, skateboard, all off of a one bowl of cereal. And then for dinner, your mom would make you something, and you probably didn't eat half of the green vegetables that she put on the plate. So if you think about it, you were some kind of like pescatarian diet having individual when you were 7, and now that you're 27 or 37, you don't want nothing to do with that. You know, it's just very interesting how things change. The last third one I'm going to mention, I went to a sales seminar, and this guy said, hey, when you were a kid and the school told you to go knock on doors, you would go and knock on doors and try to sell candy bars because you wanted to win a bike. Now, as an adult, if some company came to you and said, hey, listen, we'll pay you $100,000 a year to go knock on doors, you'd be like, oh, hell no. Where's the bike? You know what I'm saying? So listen, that's real. I'd love to get an email from you with your thoughts on how things have changed from back in the day to now in the day, because things are definitely different as an adult, right? Amen. Welcome to the show. For the first time, we got a first timer on the show. My guest is Coach Amber J is with us. Coach Amber J, welcome to the Ace Michael Show. Dorland?
Hello. Thank you so much.
What did you used to do different when you were a little Coach J, a little J? When you were a little J, what was different?
A lot of things. I was definitely that girl on that bike that rode it everywhere.
With the skinny little girl legs?
Yeah.
I used to wonder how those little skinny girl legs was getting, because I was a boy, so I didn't have skinny girl legs. I could definitely push a bike. If I needed to, man, I could push a bike 5 miles if I needed to. I could get down with a bike.
Or how about hike somebody on your bike?
Yes.
Because I also hiked people.
Yes. Well, you know, my uncle, it's so weird, because my mom had us when she was very young. She was like, I don't know, like 3 when she had our kids, you know. So anyway, so we were all very close related. Like my aunts and uncles are only a few years older than me.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So there was a time when my uncle, this is so weird. My uncle was like 19 years old and I was like 15, and I still was riding my bike a lot. And he was like, maybe I was a little younger. I might have been 14. And he goes, well, why don't we ride on the bike? You can push me on the handlebars. And I'm like, what in the world? So we were riding the bike together, and of course we crashed.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I still have the scar to this day, you know.
Wow.
So there you have it, Lerner and Rowe. I should have called you guys for my incident. Anyway. So, okay, so you were a bike riding kid, and then at what point in your childhood did you say, one day I'm going to coach people's lives?
So I want to say back then when I would tell people what we needed to do, so I was always coaching. I think coaching has been something that's been in me. It wasn't until I went through life and was married and realized one day waking up like, this is not what I want to do anymore. There has to be more to life than just waking up every day in routine. And that's when I went on a self-discovery journey of discovering who I really was. And I came across a coach, and I was like, I've been doing this my whole life. Like, I could get paid to do this and change lives.
Right. Exactly.
So that was that aha moment for me, going into my own self-discovery.
I got another one aha moment for you, because you mentioned you were married. Have you ever noticed that married kind of sounds like marred, and then marred kind of sounds like scarred? Do you think that's a coincidence? Or you
Not
get
at all. I feel you
that's
on
kind
that.
of interesting. Like
That's
if you put
very
the words,
interesting.
like put them back to back. You know what I'm saying?
That is very
That's another show. We're gonna have to talk about that.
yes, for
Yeah,
sure, for
man. It's
sure.
something.
Marriage is
Hmm.
definitely, I think any relationship, it gives you an eye opener to who you really are or who you're not, right? It's either going to put a
Yes.
mirror in front of you and
Yes.
scare
Amen.
the hell out of you or make you face yourself.
Amen. Okay, so this is a question because I've had I got to be honest. I've had several life coaches on the show. You're not the first one, so there I'm being transparent.
Okay.
I have messed around with some life coaches. Okay,
All
just so
right.
you know. Okay, I'm being upfront.
Okay.
But I always ask the same question because I never really got the answer that I was looking for, or the answer that I felt was satisfactory, which is why. Now, hear me, Amber.
I'm listening.
Why does a person need a life coach for real? Like, why? Why is that important?
So I like to describe a coach just like a basketball coach, a football coach. The reason you need a life coach or even a health coach, right? You
Mm-hmm.
need someone that can see your potential, hold you accountable, and help guide you to a space maybe that you're not seeing. And so we're just an outside perspective that helps you guide or helps keep you accountable to guide you to that next direction of whatever it is that you desire. So say for instance, I do a lot of transitional coaching. So say for instance, you're transitioning from working a 9 to 5 to being an entrepreneur, where there's going to be some areas in that space that you don't know. And so as a coach, I can either help you identify those blind spots or help you stay accountable on the path that you desire to meet.
Hmm. So, okay, I get it. And that was a more satisfactory answer than I ever had. I
Oh,
thank you for
nice.
that. But now here's the question. How does one find a life coach? How does a life coach find what would that be, a life client
A
that you,
client, yeah.
yeah, so how does that relationship work? Like, are there people who want to have you coach them and you've said no because you go, well, it's not really a good fit. I appreciate it, but it's not really my kind of thing? Or, like, I mean, for example, like, do you work with people who are like felonious people or murderers, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you have a,
So I have an ideal client. I have a niche because I'm not going to say I'm an expert in everything,
mm-hmm,
but I definitely have an intake form where I ask, do we work for each other? Because if you want to maybe commit more crimes, well, then of course I'm not going to coach you in that area. However, say for instance that you are in a transition, maybe you are recently you were incarcerated and you're trying to establish yourself back in society, then that's where a coach would be very helpful because we are here to help guide you and keep you accountable, as well as create a strategic plan to see that is obtainable for you to meet whatever that goal is.
nice.
So I wouldn't say I work with anyone, but I do work with people that are coachable and that are ready and eager. So when you come to me, you have to say, hey, I had that aha moment. I know that I'm not living in my full potential, and I know that I want to meet this goal, but for whatever reason, I'm hung up in this same cycle. And so that is where a lot of times my clients come out and they're like, I know I need to get to this level. I just don't know how to. And that's where coaching comes in and shows you that how to actually meet that goal.
Well, that sounds fabulous. And I just real quick, I want to get this off my mind before I forget it.
Okay.
Is that incarceration? You mentioned that word, which is a really nice word for being locked up and caged like an animal. I think that's more what it should be called than
Yeah.
incarceration. Incarceration almost sounds like an event that a family would go to, like a bat
Mm.
mitzvah or or
Yeah.
a what do they call it? A quinceañera. We got the bat mitzvah on Thursday, the quinceañera on Sunday, and then the incarceration is going to happen on Monday. So we want to make sure we get all of those, on our calendar, guys. But anyway, so okay, so what type of things as a life coach. And by the way, Amber, I'm sure you have your own life with its own problems. Do you ever need a life coach? And if so, what kind of things would you talk to a life coach about?
So I do have a coach. I also have a mentor, and I also have a therapist, because as you are elevating, you want somebody that's already been where you've been and
Mm.
overcome certain things. So my coach pours into me in areas that I haven't yet accomplished or I plan to accomplish. So I have a coach. Speaking is not one of the best things that I like to do, but I know that I have information that I need to get out. And how do you do that? Speaking in front of people. So I have a coach that helps me with that. So having a coach, and anyone who is a coach that doesn't have a coach, to me that's a red flag, because who's pouring into you while you pour out? It's so important that you're constantly keeping your cup full. You're constantly pouring into yourself. Your continued education, all of those things help you be equipped to help the clients that you're here to serve. And if you're not being filled, how are you serving? Are you serving from an empty space? So it's really important as a coach that I stay self-care. Everything that I preach or I teach, I live. I don't just
Hmm.
talk about things that I don't have experience in or I haven't already overcame.
Do you get into God and Jesus with people? Like if they come in, from a religious background and they're like, hey, I did these things, but I know God will forgive me. Like, how does that work? You know what I'm saying? The question I'm asking is probably too stupid, but
Well,
what
not
I'm
at all.
what
Not
I'm
at all.
trying to say is because a lot of people are married to their religions. They're really connected
Absolutely.
religiously, but we all make mistakes. We're all human. So how does that work into life coaching?
So I would say being spiritual led. I am founded it. I do believe in God. That is my higher power, but that's not the. I'm not biased on that. I believe that. Um, Whatever your religion is, whatever your background is the foundation is all the same.
Hmm.
Accountability, belief, faith, those are the basis, and forgiveness. And a lot of times people are stuck in certain things, certain situations, because they don't understand the foundations or the principles to move them to that next space.
So even if they have a great relationship with God,
Mm.
you're saying they might still need a life coach because life is different than life in heaven. For life dictated by God entirely is one thing, but we do run traffic lights, we do get into fender benders, we do sometimes end up in abusive relationships or with alcohol ruling our life, or drugs, and these are all world problems. So you're saying there is a difference, even though it sounds like you also carry a religious background and a religious faith, but we can't just presume that our life is going to be coached by the deity. Our life also really needs to be coached by a human. Is
Absolutely, because uh, God uses people to be able to bring a message, and it doesn't matter the spiritual background. He uses people, or he connects to people to use you, to guide you in different ways. So
hmm.
you need that physical person or physical thing in place to help you move. And sometimes it may just be helping you get out of your own head or create a clarity or create a strategy. Just like if you have a gauging womb, you're going to go to the hospital, see a doctor, right?
Right,
So
right.
you need a physical person that has the experience and expertise to help you move or shift in that position.
Are there ever people you just can't figure out how to coach, where you just have to throw your hands up? Or has there ever been a case where somebody, their problems were too compelling, or how they say, I'm sure you've heard this a lot in your industry, somebody's not coachable.
So there is. I've had a few people that I've had to tell them that we wouldn't be a good fit. One for sure, I know my lane and I stay in it. I am not a therapist, so I am not gonna tell you, if you have mental health problems, like I'm not gonna be a good coach for you because I'm not a therapist. So I can't. There's certain things that I just don't have the expertise to do, but I definitely will refer you to someone else. And then there's other people that are not coachable. If I give you an assignment or I give you some things and I see that you're not actually implementing them, you're
Hmm.
wasting my time and yours, and I'm not going to be the blame for you while you're in the same cycle. And I'm very solution oriented. So if I see a problem and we've talked about it and we've created a solution and you're not implementing that, then we're just not going to work for each other. And maybe in this time in your life, you're not ready for that. There may be some other things that you need to do before you actually begin working with me as a coach.
And what about kids? It seems like I didn't mean to jump right on that question. It seems like I was waiting. The way I jumped in was like, has he been waiting to ask her that this whole time? And what about kids? No. Anyway, no, seriously though, what about kids? Like, what's the youngest you would take a client?
I actually do a lot of facilitations for youth groups. The youngest I want to say is about 12, 13 years old I've worked with.
Wow.
And I've worked with several nonprofits that facilitate different courses on basic life skills. I think some of the skills that we as adults are missing should have been taught to us at a younger age, and we probably wouldn't be in some of the circumstances that we're in now had we had a coach at a very young age that gave us these basic life skills.
So at what was the earliest age you said?
12, I think she was 12 or 13 years old.
So at 12 years old, how is it that a person has gotten into such entanglements in life that they already need a life coach at 12?
So I would say it would be more on a coaching mentor side of it. But when I tell you some of the things that kids have endured at such a young age is unbelievable. There's so much trauma. And even as adults, a lot of the things that we deal with stem from childhood. So
Yes.
being brought up in the wrong homes, maybe not having a parent sexually molested or anything like that. Those are things that sometimes so I deal with more of the behavioral because we now see, okay, this is now manifesting in the physical in a behavior. So I'm going to deal with the behavior and help you say, hey, why are you angry? Let's deal with that. And let's create a plan on, let's stay in, positive for this week. And here are some tools or some affirmations you can use so you're not so angry or aggressive or having outbursts. So those are some of the things that I work with a lot of youth with, especially young women, just maybe even mentoring about how they should act, how they should behave, how they should dress. So those are some more of the things that I would deal with more with the youth with.
Wow. This has been very enlightening. Time is never a friend on our show, so we're running out of time.
No problem.
I've got time for maybe one more question, and I'd like to ask you personally, Amber, what do you feel has been the what has attributed most to your success? Would you say that it has to do with you're just being in the right place at the right time? Are you one that would say if anybody who reads the manual could do this? Or would you say it's just God has put you in the right path? Like what would you say is the most that has contributed to you being successful? The thing that contributed the most?
I would have to say I was never in the right place at the right time, but I was at the right place needing something, and some of that, a lot of it was God, a lot of it was overcoming my own life circumstances and situations that made me want something more for myself. And once I obtained this, I wanted to share that with so many other people because a lot of people are dying in silence just because they don't have the tools. So that's probably, I would say, most of where it came from.
Wow. And how do we reach you on the www if we want to follow you now?
So everything is CoachAmberJ.com. My website, CoachAmberJ.com, Facebook, Instagram, email, all of it is CoachAmberJ.com or Coach Amber J.
Amen to that. And that is what's up. Whenever you think of Amber J, think of that girl with the skinny ass legs riding her bike. And that will keep you in tune with the visual. And it's been the Ace Michael Show. Happy to be with you guys. Love it. Thank you for letting me be with you guys. I cannot get enough of you. You guys tickle my fancy. And if you ever want to be on the show, we'd love to have you. You know what I say at this time, at the end of the show, live the life you love. Love the life you live. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amber.
Amazing.
That was awesome.
Great.
Wow.
Great show.
Who